The national broadcaster has been instrumental in covering the country's elections from the time it was known as SWABC, now NBC, within the corporation located in the Cullinan Street of Northern Industrial Area in Windhoek is veteran journalist Peter Denk, who has more than 30 years of journalism experience on his back, and he now heads the News and Current Affairs Department and is in the studio, and we are not going to give much and give him the floor to just tell us from his days, Mr. Denk, as a cub reporter at radio to now. How has the experience been for you?
Well, Blanche, thank you for having me. It's a busy period, but we are doing well in terms of coverage and so on. But yes, just going down memory lane, it was quite a new experience for me starting those years, early 90s at the NBC doing reporting. And then, of course, when I started the next elections was 1994. Things were, we were still doing typewriting. We were doing our stories on typewriting that time when I started, and then the editor needed to mark with a red pen.
So it was a lot of manual work.
Yeah, it's a lot of manual work, different to what it was now. But I think that grounded you a bit more also in terms of having that. Yeah, of course, you've asked how things have evolved. It has evolved completely, you know. We have just seen now, you had Lukman from Keetmans doing through a KiloView link, through technology, network technology. In those years, it was not like that. We either had to use the telephone with a graphic, of course, a telephonic interview if there was something. But in terms of also sending the stories to head office, that was a whole process. You know, you had to watch the NAMIBIA schedules, those years from Keetmans, from Ashakati, Soccer Moon, there were flights. So you had to watch carefully those schedules, get your tape, you know, those Peter tapes, and then you had to make sure that you are on time for that story to run. Yes.
Did that process have any impact on the delivery of the story to the head office, and also in terms of conveying the information to the public, the voters then?
Yeah, of course, it had an impact. Obviously, you were maybe at some points you had to be a day after, you know, that you would want it. Unlike today, where if the story happens at 12 o'clock, you can still have it in the news the same night. But of course, in terms of the information, no, it did not change, because the information, we pride ourselves to be accurate, fair, and balanced as well. So in terms of that, it did not have, but maybe sometimes we would lag a day or two behind.
So how are you dealing with the blackout period? I'm more curious on that one.
Yeah, you have seen yesterday, the reporters had to file their stories before 8 o'clock, because that would be the final bulletin into which we would have to run those stories.
The political rallies.
The political rallies, campaigns, because blackout is now 48 hours before. Yes, there was a real scramble. You had to be on your toes to make sure. And you know, you would find reporters would have creative ways in doing their teams there. Even you know, letting political parties know that, look, we have this thing. Can you deliver your message at the start of the rally, not at the end? Normally, you know, in terms of protocol, you would have that.
The keynote at the end.
At the end, and it could be 7 o'clock, or it could be at the time where you could not have ability to send those stories through. So those are how we were doing it in terms of, you know, making sure that there is always a good relationship with the political parties, and they would understand also, given the blackout. And obviously, their aim is to have that story in the news. And if they don't make it for that at 8 o'clock, they will then forfeit that time, because we will not be broadcasting it at any other time.
So, Mr. Denk, would you say that that relationship and understanding with the political parties has remained intact 30 years later?
Yeah, I think what it does, it's because of the NBC's credibility, NBC's reputation in making sure that, as I was saying, making sure that we give a voice to everyone, making sure that we are not biased towards any of the parties, and making sure that we are fair to everyone. And I think that relationship has maintained. It has even improved in terms of that, because what we are doing, and if you just looked at, I think you were presenting the news last night, in terms of the variety, the diversity of our political news yesterday. You could see that, and I think that is what really sets us apart in terms of making sure that we give a voice even to the smaller parties, and going out of our way to make sure those stories are in.
And now that's prior to the blackout, which is 48 hours before the voting day. Now, Mr. Denk, just to take us through the pre-election coverage, not necessarily just the political party rallies, but also the voters themselves having their voices heard, and as well as the expectations from their political leaders through our platforms. How has the broadcaster been managing that?
Indeed, we could see on our different programs, starting from Good Morning NAMIBIA Connects, and then obviously the main news bulletin. The type of stories that we had with our reporters that are in the region. We had deployed a number of reporters across the length and breadth of this country, and you could see through their engagements with the ordinary citizen on the ground, we were able to reflect on those as well, and that again, it just underlines the NBC's brand in terms of where we are, how far we can go, and what we do in terms of making sure that we go to the smaller men, or as you would like, on the streets, or the lady for that matter. Yeah.
Now, Mr. Denk, with all those checks and balances in place, NBC has not escaped criticism and would be accused left, right, and center of being biased to party A, to party B, and so on, and sometimes even by the smaller men and lady on the ground as well. How do you navigate all of this when it comes to informing your reporters or the teams on the ground?
Well, first of all, I think criticism is good. It helps you to really look at what you are doing and see where you can improve. Obviously, we are not doing everything perfect. There would be room for improvement, but we are striving, and that's the most important part. Yes, we are in constant contact with our reporters on the ground. They would also communicate in terms of the type of stories they are doing. We would advise, look, maybe this could be a better angle in terms of that. But the reporters themselves in the regions, like I was saying, we have a lot of confidence in them, to also make sure that, first of all, we adhere to the principles of journalism, the basic principles of journalism, being fair. And whenever there is an issue there that needs the right of reply, that it goes without saying, they need to go and find that person. And I think it's also a learning phase for many of our reporters who are now working as a newsroom on their own. We would have Marintal have their newsroom. They would probably decide and then obviously link up with Windhoek, for an example. And this also helps them to work with very little supervision. And I think what we have seen is the teams are really pulling out all stops, making sure that we get the diversity of views that we were asking for.
Now, Mr. Denk, it's just few hours before the actual D-Day, and all eyes would be on NBC in terms of broadcasting from the casting of the votes ultimately to the announcement by the electoral body. So what can the viewers in between expect from the news and current affairs side, or from NBC side?
Yes, I think viewers who follow the NBC regularly would have seen that we have started slowly to have more election-related content on our screens. As from tomorrow, things will change. We will have our schedule will be adapted to obviously reflect on what is the main, that is the most crucial event in even for the next 5 years in the history of Namibia. So what we are doing is we have suspended the schedule on voting day until end of when the final announcement of results are expected. So during that 4 or 5 days, I think we will see that what is on the screen are only election related, is voting, how people are voting, what are the challenges, if any, what are the positives, what are the issues, and this will be obviously informed by our main centers will be Studio 2 and in Windhoek here, and then the ECN, and then of course we have 5 other centers where we will get content from. So in that way, we bring again out the diversity of Namibia, where we will have views from Ashakati, views from Katima, Keetmanshoop, Swakopmund, and Gobabas as well. So if you look at it, we are in the 4 wind directions, north, south, and east and west as well. So that again brings another dimension to the type of content we would like to. And
this content, will it be across all the NBC platforms? I know radio loves to say that they are stepchildren, but are they also covered as well as the online platforms?
Yes, indeed. Radio also has their own plan. They have also deployed teams there, but of course they are doing it in conjunction with the teams there. So, and at points where, for instance, where the ECN would have probably media briefings, they would, certain stations would then link up, I'm talking about national, they would link up to certain broadcasts of the television as well. So yes, radio also, and of course we know the power and reach of radio. We just heard yesterday it's 93%, and if you would want to have your news spread, it's radio is the preferred medium. So yes, it's an integrated broadcast. Our online platforms, which had become very, very popular, will also reflect all of this. Yes.
So, Mr. Denk, you spoke about ECN, and I am gonna release you to head to ECN headquarters. However, just lastly, with regard to the teams, I know that certain comments have been made with regard to the regalia of the teams in the field. So if you can just clarify that for us, what the NBC brand looks like in the field, so that we are not accused or critiqued in this case.
Yes, especially a very important point, Blanche, especially on voting day. We would have our teams kitted out in NBC corporate wear. They'll be clearly identified, you know, what we have, the blue of the NBC with the logo, and those teams will be clearly identified. They are there to work and report only on elections. They are obviously they will have a chance to vote as well, but they will be there to work and report on elections, not to actively participate in whatever. But they are professional. We have said we have confidence in them. They are very professional, and we have utmost trust in them.
Was the visibility clear also 30 years ago?
Well, I don't think we never thought of visibility. We never thought of branding. People were there doing. We were doing our things in normal way. We were just having your normal T-shirt and so on. So it was not. Things were different that time, but also at the same time very exciting, given all the stuff that you need to go through to get your story. And when you sit down at 8 o'clock and you see your story has made it, that is satisfaction, a job satisfaction that cannot be replaced by anything else.
And that is the job satisfaction that we are looking forward to from now till the actual D-Day.
Yes, indeed. That is what we were looking forward to. And we can assure the public that we will give rolling coverage and to the best of our ability.